Hi, Vickie. Welcome to ZoomChats 2021. How are you today?
I am great. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about your topic today. But first, we're going to play a game. We're going to do a lightning round so we can share with everybody your Sweet Adeline resume. I'm going to ask you questions you have to answer as fast as you can, okay?
Oh boy. Okay.
All right.
I love game.
Okay. How many years have you been in Sweet Adeline?
45.
45. She joined when she was 2, folks. How many quartets have you been in?
Uh, uh, 8.
8 quartets. All right. And have you competed at international with a quartet?
Yes.
And what voice parts have you sung?
Tenor, lead, and baritone.
Oh, you got to try bass now. All right. How long have you been the director of Skyline Chorus in Region 8?
35 years.
Awesome. Did you direct a chorus before Skyline?
No.
No. And what is your musical background?
Basically, I have a bachelor's in human services, but I have a minor in vocal pedagogy.
Great. And do you play the piano?
Yes.
What's your favorite color?
Red.
Do you like salty or sweet?
Salty.
Excellent. Do you like pie or cake?
Neither.
Oh, what do you eat for dessert?
I'm not a real dessert eater. Well, sometimes I like ice cream or a piece of candy.
Okay, but no cake and no pie. Okay.
Not so much.
All right. Do you like doing choreography with your chorus?
Yes.
You do. All right. Tell me about the committees you're serving on right now for Sweet Adelines.
So currently I'm a member of the International Board, and I also am the judge specialist and work on the judge specialist committee.
Wonderful.
For the expression category.
Thank you for your service. Those are 2 huge and very important committees. So we all appreciate what you're doing. And tell me about your service at the regional level. Like, what positions have you held in your region?
So basically, I've always been on the education committee and worked there. I have been in charge of workshops. But I haven't held a particular role other than regional faculty.
So you've taught all over Region 8, right?
Yes.
And have you taught in every region in Sweet Adelines? I would imagine yes.
Almost. Oh, yeah. I don't think I've been in 14.
Okay. But everywhere else, right? And
yes.
You've coached all over the world as well?
I have.
Wonderful. So I know that you've been teaching in our virtual world with a topic that is near and dear to your heart. And I think it's going to be great to have you help us learn about it today. And it's all about connection and the need for connection, particularly now. So tell us about that a little bit, about how we can increase our connection while we're not able to sing together.
I think that one of the things that's so powerful about connection is the fact that one of the laws of the universe is the law of vibration. And so basically, we as human beings, we have a biological need to connect. We know that based on back in the 13th century, Frederick the Great did a scientific study on infants where they gave them biologically all their needs, but they had failure to thrive because they were not held. They did not have that connection, that opportunity to be with others. And so what we're experiencing, I think, this year in particular is the need for connection. And so we utilize Zoom, but it's not the same. It's not the same because it's kind of like the difference between singing a solo and doing a harmony part. If we all were solo singers, you don't get quite the same high warming up by yourself as you do when you warm up with others. So why is that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. That law of vibration. Have you ever walked into a place where, like a restaurant, and it's really alive and you can feel the energy and that sort of thing? Well, what's happening is you're vibrating. Your body is vibrating with others there. And so when we get together and sing together and warm up, our vibrations start to intensify. And so even when we're singing and when we hear music on Zoom, it's more difficult. You don't get the goosebump feel. that you get when we're all craving that. And so what happens is that vibration, when you would get on the risers, your voice would start vibrating and resonating. And then all of a sudden you'd have the feeling, if Renee, you and I were standing, and all of a sudden I go, Renee, I can feel your voice in my mouth.
Yes.
It's coming out my mouth.
Oh.
That's that inner connection feeling. That's not even talking about the overtones that absolutely give us chills, and we want more. That's why we stay up and tag until all hours with each other, is because we get to create overtones, something bigger than us. So we bring that together and we create that overtone that, quite honestly, doesn't quite happen when you're doing a solo. You can create overtones, but it's not the same visceral feeling as when you make it with someone else. It's that connection. Yeah.
And so how can we use what we're experiencing now for what will happen when we get back together again?
So I think that, first of all, it's really important to come from a place of gratitude. And so to write down the things that you were grateful for when you were with your chorus family, when you were with your quartet. What are those things that meant so much to you? And what you'll find is it's not so much about the medals or the winning. It was about the moments you created together. It was about the laughter. It was about the tears. And so what happens when we create and make harmony together, those are things that we learn. So I think it's important to start from a place of gratitude, because gratitude actually equals abundance. And so instead of saying, wah, I hate Zoom. Okay. None of us love
it anymore.
Okay. None of us love it, but I have gratitude for the fact that we have been able, just like this opportunity for me to talk with you, Renee, you're in Chicago. Right. And I can see your face. I can feel your energy through the screen. And it's important to hear the things that you miss. And so that's what we need to be able to do, is come from a place of gratitude and say, I'm grateful that we've been able to figure this out. And yes, we all have members that struggle getting on every week, and I'm still grateful for them. I love them, because why? They miss me. They miss us. They miss the group, and we work together to help them get on. That need for connection. So coming from a place of gratitude is very important. Making a list of things instead of, because sometimes we would get into our situations with our chorus and it became a job, until we don't have that.
Yeah.
And then we go, I'm starved for that. I need this. I need the connection to make music with my friends. I need to vibrate, because these people have the same intention I have. They want to make great music.
Well, so I think one of the things we are all missing is having a goal. And it's not even necessarily a contest goal. I mean, just a weekly goal. And we are used to the ebb and flow of our week. Whatever rehearsal night we knew we had rehearsal, at least I know for me, my week was geared around that. And that was very strange when all of a sudden that was gone. And I call it it's the biorhythm of my weekly rehearsing. So I'm certainly coming from a place of gratitude about Zoom. But I wonder, how can we take that lesson about realizing how important that was once we make that list? What can we do to keep ourselves encouraged and to keep working towards when we're going to make music together?
So the next step would be, if you and I were in the chorus together, or even not, is to pick up the phone and call and have a FaceTime with each other and sing with each other, sing for each other, sing back, say, oh my gosh, this is what I loved about hearing about your voice, and focus on those things. And so it's not to live in a place of fear, but again, coming from a place of gratitude. And I'm going to call up Renee and I'm going to sing for her, my part, and maybe stand up and perform and that sort of thing. She goes, "Oh my gosh, I love hearing your voice," and so that's one thing we can do. When you're able and you feel comfortable and you can get together outside. I know we've had quartet rehearsals outside, and we've actually used quartets in rehearsals outside, and then been able to have the chorus. They can hear all four parts. And we miss that.
Yeah.
You know,
a couple weeks ago, I was using one of our new learning tracks that had my part missing. And I was singing away because I was making harmony. It was with a track, but that's the sensation of hearing my voice with those other three was just, I was transported. And, for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I had that little piece of myself feel regular.
yes.
It was great. Are your members really calling each other and singing for each other?
Some of them are.
That's amazing.
Some of them are. And it's just an idea. It's not like this is the next rule that you have to do. It's just a suggestion because they're learning and gaining from each other. One of the things that we've talked about in our chorus in particular is we can always warm up our voices, and we're noticing how out of shape we are vocally.
Yes.
And we started doing what we call 20-minute warm-up sessions, and they're twice a week, the same time. There's a noon on Thursday and a 10 o'clock on Saturday. It's 20 minutes. You do a physical warm-up, you do a vocal warm-up, you can log on, you can do it, and you're out. And what's been beneficial about that is people have said, I know I need to go and warm up, but it's not fun by myself. And they said, so we really enjoy logging on, seeing everybody, doing some physical, and then actually getting into the vocal. And so it's been actually kind of fun. I'm not doing the warm-ups. And so I've been attending and warming up my voice. And it's been really fun. It's been a really positive experience.
Because you teach private voice out of your home, right?
Yes.
Are you doing it online now, or are you
mostly? I have a situation here. So there's a couple of things at play. Because I had COVID, still have the antibodies. And so I have done a couple of private lessons where they come in and they actually face and sing, and I'm masked up with a thing. And they get to sing and project their voice. So we've done that. But mostly I do it online. I do vocal lessons online and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Because I noticed that I like the idea about doing the warm-ups that way, because as I've been saying in other chats, every morning I have this conversation with myself that I'm going to sing more each day. And as the months have gone by, it's not something that's happening every day. And I don't have a specific reason other than we're almost at a year of trying to do this on our own, and the motivation is sometimes difficult to dig up. So,
and I think we're all experiencing that. So it's actually been a real gratitude from my chorus and appreciation, because it's always the same time. They can log on; they don't have to. I mean, we've had maybe as little as 15, as many as 40 at a time log on. And it's not about the numbers, it's about providing a service, so that there's something about having that to go to, instead of scheduling. I would love to be more disciplined and do that every day myself. But it's a different feeding. It's a different opportunity. And so that opportunity for connection is so important. And I want to talk about that law of vibration, because this is really important in the expression category. So I want to flip over to why it's so important. Many times we talk about the expression category is difficult to understand. Well, it's really all about communication. Right. And what happens is we get to take our ensemble, whether it be at a quartet, a double quartet, a small group, a large group, whatever it is, that we're creating this wonderful sense of harmony together. And we get to vibrate and tell our story and connect with our audiences. And so when we do that, we vibrate them. And so our vibration in the whole auditorium goes up. and you're pulled in. And so that's why I think people are also missing live performances. I believe that when we start opening up and doing live performances again, I think our audiences are going to be huge because they're missing that visceral.
Yeah.
It's not the same as coming, and we know that if you've been to live theater versus watching a movie. I mean, and there are certain things you can do high tech to create that feeling, but there's this energy that is so vital. I mean, you make an energy together, but then you take that energy and it multiplies, and you take and you wrap it in your audience as you storytell, and you resonate someplace in their heart. They needed to hear that story. They needed to hear that message, or maybe it's just the energy and the excitement and the ring that they get involved in, and they get excited about that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes mutual. It becomes synergistic. And so that, in essence, is what we do in the expression category. And so there's a lot to be learned from having to be isolated and not be able to have that energy and that connection.
I'm listening to you. You're talking about live performances. And for whatever reason, this is the one that came into my mind. Bob and I went to see Les Mis in New York. And I had never seen it. And, it's 3 hours long. And when it ended, I turned to him and I said, but I don't want it to be over. And he put his arm around me and he said, but honey, the war ended. I was so wrapped up in the actors and the recurring motifs that show up in that music. There's visual things that continue to show up. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I mean. And it was as if I was up on the stage with them and I just didn't want them to be finished. 3 hours. I was totally wrapped up. Exactly. And there is a sense in a theater. You just reminded me of what it was like when an audience chuckles at something and it spreads across the audience, and it reminds me of our choruses and quartets. So we plan something and we hear the audience respond. And as a performer, when they respond to something that you didn't think they would, that's my favorite. So the audience busts out laughing and you're caught by surprise because
and you're like, oh, they got it. It's such a gratifying experience because you've had two-way communication without actually having a conversation, one-on-one or whatever. But there's gratification in that.
Right. And I know that genuine and authentic performances are something that we're talking about a lot. And I've been asking questions in as many places as I can. How do we come to a place where we are offering something genuine and authentic? Because people can feel that they are being very genuine. And you and I in the judging pit may write something about that the performance didn't feel genuine. So how are we going to bridge that gap when a performer feels that they were as authentic as they could be? And I'm asking you because it's very prevalent in your category.
So I think there are several things that happen. And I think we try so hard to make that connection. We overdo, okay? Instead of creating the story as though it's you're actually, let me just tell you this, from my heart. Yeah. Instead, I get stiff. I think about my alignment. I want everything to be lined up instead of saying, wait a minute, let me tell you my story.
Yeah.
And those are the performances. And so how we know in the pit is we actually feel the energy from the audience, whether or not they are connected with you or not. We can tell because we're actually right between you, the audience, and the performer. And so, and I know you know that. I know you feel that. We can tell when you have brought an audience up onto stage with you.
When we get back to being able to perform live, it's going to be tricky because if we allow ourselves to not overdo, many times that makes the pendulum go all the way the other way, and it will take energy out, which will impact all four categories.
Right.
So it's interesting. And I know I've talked with a couple of people too, and through my years of coaching about what if the story is not mine? How do I portray something that I don't relate to? And really it's just having conversation, making sure that your quartet or chorus really looks at how you want to tell the story of that song.
Absolutely. And when you start to understand about your own personal energy and how that relates,
Yeah.
and how you can actually move and shift your energy, so you don't have to just send your energy to the director. You can send it and wrap the director as well as the audience, and you can go beyond the audience, out the auditorium building, and it's a very visceral thing. Now I know sometimes baritones will go, I don't know what you're saying, but I think
Hey now.
I know, no. I think you actually do, because it's that same thing when you walk in and you go, wow, what is this?
Yeah.
You can't put your finger on it, but it's that intentional energy, that is being spread and vibrates in a way. There also can be negative energy, but for the most part, you can shift that and change that.
Right.
You can actually take someone who is having maybe some negative energy, and you can actually shift that, believe it or not, which is so powerful. I mean, that's knowing that I don't have to take on that negative energy. I can actually wrap you, and we can have positive energy together, and you'll come into my energy.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. These are great tips, and I hope that you'll get to teach many, many classes on this to keep us all focused on making sure that we stay connected.
I want to read this one quote before we finish, if it's okay.
Sure.
It's a quote, and Deo Judith wrote this: when we cannot resonate with the world around us, we cannot link with it. We are unable to expand, we are unable to respond or receive. We actually become isolated and ill. And so that is why it's so very important for us to make ourselves get out on Zoom, to call up someone and have a conversation, to reach out and use our energy in a way that can connect, because that will help with mental health, physical health, emotional health. It's so very powerful. And so I am with you, Renee. I can't wait. And I believe the day is coming where we will start to come together again. And it will be like never before. It will be different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I do know that we're going to appreciate it in a different way. And so that's what has kept me going throughout this year, that we were all originally attracted to this because we are compelled to make music. And it's going to have a whole new flavor and a whole new meaning when we really get to share that space with our energy. So thank you so much for talking to us about connection today and for connecting with all of us. I look forward to being in the same room with you because you are such an energetic person. And I hope that you stay well, and we can be together soon.
Yes. Thank you, Renee. It was great to see you, and it was great to share with you.
Take care.
Okay.